Hi, and welcome to the Simple Weight Loss Podcast. I'm Christina, qualified nutritionist, food coach, and mum of two. If you're a busy mum who wants straightforward, no-nonsense weight loss advice without all the complicated science talk, or you just want to learn more about health and nutrition in a way that's easy to understand, then you're in the right place. Hi everyone, and welcome to my very first episode. Today I am going to be talking about something that I hear a lot of, and honestly it is something I've said to myself in the past a very long time ago. But how many times have you heard someone say, I've tried everything and nothing works, I can't keep the weight off? And maybe you've even said it to yourself after attempting diet after diet. And when nothing seems to work, we start believing that it's the diet that's the problem. But what's really happening is we're confusing trying to lose weight with trying for long enough. Most people quit after 2 to 3 weeks when they don't see the dramatic results they were hoping for. So they hop from one diet to another and never giving one approach time to work. And it's always the same pattern. You start really motivated. You say you're going to start on Monday, so you do, you start strong, but then something comes up and you have a bit of a struggle. So you give up again and you blame the method. And then you go round to the start, you start searching for the perfect diet that's going to suit you. And the same thing just happens over and over again. So maybe you've tried keto or carnivore diet for a couple of weeks and, nothing really happens. So you swap that out for something else. Whatever your chosen diet, they generally all share the same goal. The goal is to reduce highly processed, high calorie foods and eat in a calorie deficit. So in theory, it makes sense. All of that is meant to help you lose weight, but it doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot going on inside your body that you can't see, which is what keeps people stuck in this cycle of on and off dieting. You may feel like you've tried everything and nothing works, but the reality is you probably haven't stuck with it long enough to see the change that you're after. Real change needs about 8 to 12 weeks minimum before your body starts to adapt and before you start to adapt to these new habits as well. So the first few weeks are supposed to feel hard. It doesn't mean you're failing. It's just the process. It's your body adapting. And it will feel especially hard if you've chosen a brand new way of eating or a complete lifestyle overhaul. Everything's new and there's a learning curve. So you shouldn't be relying on success about everything being perfect and having the perfect method to lose weight. It's about committing to a good method that's going to work for you. So most approaches do work, but the key is consistency. So when you change your diet, you're not just changing what you eat, you're changing your entire gut microbiome. So your gut bacteria needs weeks to months even to adjust to new foods and eating patterns. So if we have a look at what's actually happening inside your body during those first few weeks, in the first probably 1 to 4 weeks, there's a microbiome shift happening. When you start eating more fiber, so more vegetables and whole foods, you're literally starving the bad bacteria that was previously thriving on sugar and processed foods that you may have been eating. So you're starving this bad bacteria and you're feeding the good bacteria. And this transition can cause bloating and gas and just discomfort in general in your digestive system. So many people mistake this as a sign that the diet isn't working for them. But the reality is it's working exactly as it should be. Your gut is rebalancing itself. So after this, then there are changes in enzyme production. So your body produces different digestive enzymes based on what you eat on a regular basis. So if you've been eating a low fiber, highly processed food kind of diet for years, your body isn't producing enough enzymes to efficiently digest high fiber whole foods yet. So this can make you feel sluggish or uncomfortable. Give it time. Your gut is really good at adapting. So it will adapt to these new foods and it'll start producing what it needs. If you've been eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of sugary foods, high inflammatory foods, your gut lining may be damaged. But as you eat better, your gut lining starts healing itself. This improves nutrient absorption and it reduces inflammation, and it also helps to regulate hunger hormones. But again, this isn't something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process. Your gut also produces hormones that control hunger, which is ghrelin, and also fullness, which is leptin. And when your gut microbiome is unbalanced, these hormones don't work properly. This is why you might constantly feel hungry or never satisfied when you do eat. As your gut heals and rebalances, these hormones start functioning correctly again. But this can take 2 to 3 months. So if you're quitting this new lifestyle, new diet that you're on at week 3 because it's not working, you're quitting right before your gut has fully adapted. and you're quitting right before the real sustainable fat loss even begins. So your gut needed that time to heal. It needs time to rebalance, and it needs time to start supporting your weight loss goals. So any discomfort and slow progress in those early weeks, it's not failure. It's your body doing what it needs to do to help you succeed long term. So if you go back to your old ways after all of that work, your gut bacteria will just shift straight back to what it was before. And then you're just starting from scratch again. So maybe you're thinking, well, how do I actually succeed? Maybe you've tried a bunch of different things and have felt like nothing has worked. Maybe this has been exactly what's been happening to you. So my first piece of advice is to commit to something for 90 days minimum, no exceptions. And whatever kind of lifestyle changes you want to make, ask yourself, can I see myself living and eating this way in 5 years? If not, maybe you need to choose a different approach, because that may not be worth your time. It'll just end up back starting all over again when it doesn't work out. So you may lose the weight if you say you choose a restrictive kind of diet. I know I mentioned keto before and carnivore. To me, they're restrictive because you're cutting out whole food groups. So for example, let's say you do choose a keto diet. Can you see yourself heavily restricting carbs for the rest of your life? If the answer is no, then I would choose a different approach, because you might lose the weight, but then what? Maybe you do it for 8, 10, 12 weeks, you lose the weight. But if it doesn't work for you and you're not enjoying it and you feel like you're always craving foods that you're restricting, then you're just going to go back to eating the way you used to, and the weight will come back, possibly with extra. And you're right back where you started. Another thing to do to keep yourself on track in this 90 days is to track your adherence. So not your weight. Put scales away for the 90 days. It's really not necessary. So keep a track of things like, are you drinking enough water every day? Have you met your fiber goals for the day? Have you been for a walk or done some kind of exercise or movement? Focus on things that you can control, so your actions, not just the outcome. And expect the first few weeks to be uncomfortable. This is completely normal, and it's not a sign that you should quit. Remember what's happening inside your body during this time. Everything's rebalancing, adjusting, and discomfort is just part of the progress. Another thing to do is tell someone about your commitment. So tell a friend, or if you're brave, put it on social media, because when you make it public and you tell someone else, you're more likely to follow through. And ask them to check in with you to keep you accountable. So at the end of the 90 days, this is when you should assess what happened honestly. So did it work? How are you feeling? What changed? What didn't? And only at this point should you then decide whether or not to continue, if you feel it's sustainable, or maybe just make some adjustments and keep going. But give it the full 90 days first. Try not to bail out before then, no matter how tempting. A lot of excuses always come up that we tell ourselves, and we do this to give ourselves permission to stop making difficult changes. So things like, I didn't see results after a month. We now know that your body needs time to adapt. So a month is not long enough to see any real change. And be patient with your body. It's working hard behind the scenes, despite how it may feel on the outside. Another thing we may tell ourselves is that it's my metabolism. I just have a slow metabolism. But the truth is, you don't have a slow metabolism. That's not really a thing. It's not something people have by default. Metabolism adapts to what we feed it or don't feed it. So yes, if you're cutting calories, your metabolism will likely slow down initially as a protective mechanism, but it will start to adapt after a few weeks of consistency. And this is even more reason to stick with something long term, because you need to give yourself time to adapt to the new way of living. And when you start and stop repeatedly, this teaches your body to hold on to fat, because it doesn't know whether to expect a feast or a famine. So it holds everything just in case there's a famine. Another excuse that we may tell ourselves, which I've been guilty of in the past, is it's just my hormones. That's the reason that my body holds on to so much weight. Sometimes hormones can be an issue. They can be a bit out of whack, and it might be something that needs to be investigated further. But for me, I thought it was my hormones, and I'd get this horrible cystic acne. But at the same time, I wasn't always eating properly. I was probably drinking too much, eating a lot of takeaway on the weekends, but I still blame my hormones. As soon as I shifted my diet and I was exercising more often, was barely drinking anymore, all of a sudden my cystic acne cleared up. So it may have been my hormones at play, but it was because of my lifestyle that my hormones were out of whack. Also, life is going to get in the way. So instead of using that as an excuse, we can guarantee that something's going to come up. It's going to be unpredictable and inconvenient. But that's when your commitment to this matters most. It's about prioritizing yourself, making conscious decisions to make better choices, even when life gets hectic. The perfect circumstances will never happen. So start where you are, not where you want to be. There is no better time. So the goal is to stop diet hopping and pick one approach. Don't wait till Monday. You can do this today. You can start right now. Tell a friend or family member, put it on social media, make it real. And if you feel like quitting, come back to this episode, listen to it again, and remind yourself about all the changes that are going on inside your body, and remember why you started. Also remember that any discomfort will be temporary. Obviously, there may be very rare situations where something has gone wrong and you should see a professional, but generally any discomfort is going to be short-lived. But if you quit, that will be permanent. So track your consistency every day, not your weight. You can put the scales away. Don't worry about that for now. And just track that you're doing what you said you'd do. That's the only question that's going to matter in the first 90 days. Are you doing what you said you would do? If you're ready to commit to a sustainable approach that actually works, I have created an ultimate weight loss guide with meal plan to get you started. So this includes all the information and practical tips you need to succeed, plus a lot of delicious recipes as well. So if you're interested, I've added a link to it in the show notes. So that's it for me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate a review. It helps more people find the show. And also come and hang out with me on Instagram, which is Plantify Your Plate _nutrition. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.